It's about a psychotherapist whose client dies, and she doesn't believe it was an accident or suicide, as the police claim, and she sets out to find out what happened to her. Heather Delaney stood by the open window. A consulting room overlooked a leafy square, and between clients she liked to watch the birds in the trees and the people sitting on benches around the grass. Usually it helped to clear or at least settle her mind before having to pay complete attention to someone else. This afternoon her mind would not settle. She was just waiting, hoping the phone would ring, because her last client of the day, Phoebe, hadn't turned up. This was the second week in a row that she hadn't attended, and Heather hadn't heard from her. She tried sitting at her desk but found it impossible to focus on any of the tasks she might have got on with: client notes, reports, responding to emails. She would rather Phoebe came to the appointments, drunk or sober, because now she was worried. Phoebe didn't call. Heather went to the small kitchen in the corridor to refill her glass with water and returned to her room. She'd sent Phoebe a text the week before when she'd missed her appointment, but there'd been no response. Could she be acting out because they were coming to the end of the course of therapy? Heather didn't think so. She had a feeling something was wrong. At 5:15, she decided to go against protocol and called Phoebe's mobile number. She was surprised when a woman answered and said, "Hello, police, hold on, please." Heather thought the woman had a Geordie accent. She could hear voices in the background, and then a man came on the line. "This is Detective Inspector John Kelly. Who's speaking, please?" His voice was mellow, pleasant. "My name is Heather Delaney. I was hoping to speak to Phoebe Summers." She wondered if this man really was a policeman. "Are you a friend of Phoebe Summers?" "I'm a psychotherapist. Phoebe didn't attend her appointment this afternoon. Is she all right?" "I'm afraid not, Miss Delaney. I'm sorry to have to tell you that Phoebe has had an accident." "What kind of accident? Is she in hospital?" "Phoebe didn't drive. Did she have a bicycle? Maybe she'd been run over." "It was an accident at home. We've informed the next of kin, so I can tell you that she died as a result of her injuries." Heather leant forward so her forearms were on the desk. Her phone slipped between her fingers. She closed her eyes. She felt sick, and her head was strangely empty. "Miss Delaney?" Heather sat upright and brought the phone to her ear. "Yes?" "How long have you known Phoebe?" "She's been coming to see me for 10 weeks. "We'd like to talk to you," said D.I. Kelly. "As someone who knew Phoebe well, you may be able to help us." "Of course. What kind of accident was it?" "I'm sorry, I can't say any more at this stage." "Was anyone else involved?" "At the moment, we don't know. We're still investigating. As I say, we'd like to come and see you as soon as possible. Maybe you can help us understand what happened." After arranging to meet the police the following day, Heather called the manager of the therapy centre, Vicky Hammond. She was still in her office, and Heather asked if she could come and see her straight away. Vicky said she was preparing to leave, and was it important? Heather said it was, put down the phone and set off along the corridor to Vicky's room. Vicky was standing behind her large desk, pulling on a cream linen jacket. "I'm sorry to call you at this time of the day," said Heather. "I've just had some shocking news." Vicky indicated a chair facing the desk. Heather sat on the edge of the chair. "One of my clients has died," she said. "Phoebe Summers." She felt a catch in her voice and cleared her throat. "The police said Phoebe had an accident at home and she's dead. They wouldn't give me any more details." Vicky's eyes widened almost imperceptibly, and then her face settled into an efficient yet concerned expression. She hung her jacket on the back of her chair and sat down. "Did the police call you?" she asked. "Phoebe was due to come and see me at 4 o'clock and she didn't attend. She didn't come last week either, so I called her mobile. The police had it and they answered. They're coming to interview me here tomorrow. I thought I should let you know." Heather had no desire to talk to Vicky about Phoebe. She wanted to cry and was desperate to keep this conversation as brief as possible. Vicky pushed a box of tissues across the desk. Heather took one and put it in her trouser pocket. "You've done the right thing coming to me before talking to the police," said Vicky. "Depending on how she died, they might ask you, did you think she might... Did Phoebe tell you how she had suicidal thoughts?" "No, she was depressed when she started therapy and sometimes said she wished she wasn't here. But the last time I saw her, she was upbeat, positive, her mood has improved." She knew Vicky was wondering if she might have missed suicidal thoughts or intentions in her sessions with Phoebe. Vicky was concerned about liability, bad publicity. "Do they suspect suicide?" asked Vicky. "I don't think so," said Heather. "I don't think she would have killed herself. I shall tell them that." Vicky nodded. "Of course, as you know, the duty of confidentiality extends after death. But an exception can be made in the case of a serious crime, I believe," said Heather. Vicky's eyes widened again. "Do the police suspect a crime has been committed here?" "I don't know," said Heather. "Do you think a crime has been committed?" Heather hesitated, and then she said, "It's possible. Until they tell me more, I don't know." "Ah, you need to tread carefully in that case," said Vicky, and she turned to reach for her jacket. "Now go home, do some yoga or whatever will help, and mull things over. If you want to talk at any time, I'm here." Heather left Vicky's office. She sighed as she closed the door. Vicky was the last person she would choose to talk things over with, but she had to be informed of what was happening. Heather went home by bus and tube. She'd managed to buy a house in Chiswick when prices were low, and she'd inherited money from her aunt. Years ago, in another life, after a difficult day, she would have gone to a pub on the way home. She would have either have phoned a friend to meet her or gone on her own. She was used to haunting bars alone back then. There was something freeing about it, to walk in alone, in smart work clothes, with an expensive work bag, and sit at the bar, order a glass of white wine, light a cigarette, chat up the barman or barmaid. She would often be approached by some man, usually a creep who fancied himself, who would offer her a drink, make bad jokes, and she would order another drink, maybe a bottle, and retreat to a table. On one occasion, she'd left her bag at the bar, and the creep had brought it over to her. She'd thanked him, said she was expecting someone. Alone at the table, she would go over the trying or distressing events and encounters of the day, until, after a few glasses of wine, they dissolved into reverie or bonhomie, and she could go home. A couple of times she was approached at the bar or the table by a man she found attractive and amusing, and she would let him buy her a drink, and she might leave with him. Now, sitting on the tube, she felt her face grow hot at the memory. She took out her phone to distract herself.